Welcome to Lagniappe, a program about events, issues, and people. I'm Cory Crowe. I'm joined today by Dr. Eric Seirveld. He is the director of the ULM Jazz Band. Eric, welcome. Thanks for being with us today on Lagniappe.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's good to see you again and have you here, and that must mean it's time for another big jazz band concert. What do you got coming up on the ULM campus?
Yeah, so tonight at 7:30 in Brown Auditorium, we're going to be presenting a program called As Seen on TV. This program is going to feature music from television and films. Most of it relates to jazz ensemble in some way, or it was originally intended as jazz music that found its way into TV and film. But we also are going to play some familiar favorites for folks that may not realize they were influenced either by jazz composers or jazz arrangers.
Well, you know, I watch a lot of that. I call it the old people TV channel now. Whatever it is, I watch Hogan's Heroes every night, and I watch, I Love Lucy and stuff like that. And those were catchy TV tunes. You guys are taking some of those and have arrangements that are a little more jazzy.
Yes, that's true. We also have arrangements that are almost directly ripped from the television series. There's a rich history of jazz composers writing music for TV, and so we've decided that that's something that we think is a valuable thing to perform, not only for the students, but of course for the community to hear. And I think when you come and you hear familiar tunes like Meet the Flintstones or the Jetsons theme song, which were really written for jazz ensembles, and you get to hear them in a live context, it makes you appreciate the music a little more.
You'll have to find, and this is way off subject, there's a Meet the Flintstones, and somebody laid the Star-Spangled Banner on top of Meet the Flintstones, one of the greatest tunes ever put together. You have no idea those two will go together, but they fit perfectly.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Meet the Flintstones. There's a great musician around now, Jacob Collier, who a few years ago won a Grammy Award for his arrangement of Meet the Flintstones. So it's still something that I think is in the cultural zeitgeist, despite that show being from the 60s, right? I mean, it's still something people are familiar with and still something musicians revisit.
Okay, I got to ask this question. You're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Did they watch the Flintstones?
I don't think, probably not, but it's still, there was a movie made of the Flintstones and whatever that was, the late 90s, early 2000s with John Goodman. And so I think most of them still grew up with that on TV. So while they maybe didn't recognize that it was a cartoon prior to that, it's still something that they're familiar with. We'll go into a little bit more history about the Flintstones theme song tonight after we play it. But it's also, there's a big connection to the history of writing music in jazz and how that relates to the Flintstones theme song. So the Flintstones theme song itself, the underlying harmony was written by a man named George Gershwin, who's probably a name most people are going to recognize. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and how composers get around some things.
All right, so I know you're going to do the Flintstones.
Yes.
What else do you have tonight?
Yeah, so that's a TV theme song, obviously, and we have a few others. We have the Sesame Street theme. As I mentioned, we have the Jetsons. We're also going to deal with a little bit of late night television. People who remember Johnny Carson, of course, none of the students remember that, but hopefully the folks in the audience will remember the 30-plus years that Johnny Carson was on the air and the Doc Severinsen theme song that played every night. We'll deal with late night with Conan O'Brien, so we'll have a few late night theme songs. And then we're going to do some modern television, or, I guess I consider it modern. It's probably pretty dated still, but shows like Family Guy, The Simpsons, and all that. But then we're also going to tackle some movie music. We'll be doing the theme from, or it's called Gonna Fly Now from the movie Rocky.
Right. That was one of my favorite Maynard Ferguson tunes.
And that's the arrangement we're going to do, is the Maynard Ferguson arrangement of Gonna Fly Now.
Well, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, and there's, again, we'll talk about that a little bit more tonight, but there's a special tribute in one of the Rocky films to Maynard Ferguson as a result of that song becoming so popular, or him making that song even more popular than it was from that movie.
Well, that's going to be tonight at 7:30. Is there a cost to attend the concert?
There is. There's a general admission fee of $5, so that's the $5 for community members or folks who are just walking through the door. But it is free and open to students, faculty, and staff of ULM, and that includes high school students. Just you show a student ID, and we'll be sure to go ahead and let you in free of charge.
So when you work with these young folks, I have a question about how it works now. I played in jazz band many years ago. Do you still hold auditions every year? How do you find your members of your ensemble?
Yeah, so the membership in the jazz ensemble is a year-long commitment. So folks will audition in the fall, and we place them in whatever position they audition for. So the jazz ensemble being a chamber music ensemble, each position's really kind of highly specialized. So we would audition a lead alto saxophone player. Tonight that's Emily Robinson, who served as our lead alto player for a couple of years now. She does a fabulous job. So we definitely audition specific positions in the jazz ensemble, and occasionally we'll carry a double. We carry 2 drummers to kind of lighten the load, and then also there's sometimes auxiliary things that our percussionists need to do, play conga, or tonight somebody will be playing xylophone, which is not normally seen in the jazz ensemble. And so we have 2 people to help carry those kinds of things. But yeah, every year we hold auditions in the fall and fill those roles.
Tell me a little bit about what's coming up next after we get through tonight's As Seen on TV.
Yeah, so we're going to try something a little bit new, at least new to my knowledge, certainly new since I took over a few years ago as the jazz band director. And we're going to split the band into 2 combo-sized groups. And so the month of October, we'll be rehearsing combos. The combo I'll be directing will be doing the music of Horace Silver, a great jazz pianist from the late 1950s and 1960s. Wrote a lot of our repertoire, so we're going to tackle some of that repertoire. John Farmer will be doing the other group. He'll be directing that group, and they'll be focusing on jazz standards and early repertoire of the jazz ensembles.
Well, that's going to be a lot of fun, and again, that concert coming up tonight at 7:30 at ULM's Brown Auditorium. You can find out more info on that by visiting our website, KEDM.org. For folks to find out more about the Jazz Ensemble, what you guys have going on and what's coming up, Eric, where can they go to learn more?
The best places are Instagram, of course, at jazz@ULM, and then our Facebook page is always kept up to date, and then as well as the music website now. We're doing a lot on the VAPA page to make sure people are very aware of all the events happening here musically on ULM's campus.
Find out about this and other events by visiting our website, KEDM.org, and don't forget that Lagniappe's available on all the major podcasting platforms and video available on YouTube. As Seen on TV tonight, 7:30, Brown Auditorium with the ULM Jazz Ensemble.